The summoning ritual worthed, and I have indeed returned. Everyone's favourite amateur surgeon and part-time youth pastor, Dr. Ichabod Spoothie von Wolf-Howlington. Bury your corpses and pour yourself a fresh pint of blood, for I have a dame to tell you about on this spooky evening or morning. You can watch this whenever you want. It's always spooth time when Ichabod's on the prowl. For a spooth! I will not be doing the whole video in this voice. Don't worry, I do this because it makes me laugh, and that's not a fourth wall break. Dr. Ichabod finds himself amusing because he practices self-care and self-love. One of the first games I truly fell in love with was Dungeon Keeper, Bullfrod's evil lair management sim that released on PC back in 1997. Maybe it's because playing it makes me feel 6 years older then, but the game remains as compelling today as it did 21 years ago. Christ! 21 years! Criminally few games put you in the shoes of a villain, and even less do so with the wit and charm of Dungeon Keeper. Tasked with carving out an underground lair for your devilish minions, Dungeon Keeper was a rock-solid management sim that was as much about ensuring your minions were paid on time as it was about slaughtering heroic adventurers breaking into your dungeon, their very presence threatening to remove the evil you'd spent hours meticulously incubating within. Since then, despite Bullfrod being shut down and EA shitting all over the franchise, the love for Dungeon Keeper persists within the gaming community. Spiritual successors like Dungeons and War of the Overworld have cropped up in recent years in an effort to bring the series into the modern era, but they're a minority in the wider landscape. It seems like not that many people enjoy playing the villain. Luckily, Wildfactor think differently, and have expanded upon the ethos of Dungeon Keeper in fresh and interesting ways with Machiavillain, released on PC. Well, this review was meant to be out early this week, but it's out now basically on Steam and elsewhere. Machiavillain is a haunted house management sim that tasks you with running a spooky mansion in the middle of the woods, staffed by an eclectic mix of classic horror movie monsters. The game takes heavy influence from Ludion Studios' excellent RimWorld, and by takes heavy influence from, I basically mean copies all of its mechanics and systems outright. Monsters are recruited onto your team, and from then on it's up to you to tell them which resources to collect, which rooms and objects to build, alongside other menial day-to-day monster chores, such as tutting up and tutting body parts in order to keep your minions well fed, researching new technologies, and writing letters to lure unsuspecting victims into your spooky house. All tasks are managed via a hierarchical job system, just like RimWorld, where tasks are assigned to individual monsters who will then happily potter about, stopping only to sleep, eat, or slaughter innocents. Each monster has their own character traits and a mood system. Again, just like you get the point, it's like RimWorld. If not taken proper care of, your monsters can slip into a rage.
Your minion is vandalizing your mansion!
Battering up your nice lamps and pulling up your plush carpets. Machiavillain's A+ name, by the way, just want to point out that, it's a twist on Machiavillain, which means to steam, and this is a strategy game, and Machiavillain is an interesting bit of wordplay, and yeah, that's right, I'm well read, I read, I'm a smarty pants. Machiavillain's main HUD comes in the form of killing victims. The ultimate goal of Machiavillain is to kill as many innocent victims as possible, whilst adhering to classic horror movie tropes such as killing them alone, killing the virgin last, and, wonderfully, never killing the dog ever. No excuses, do not touch the dog. Adhering to these rules gains you more villain juice, which you then spend on recruiting new and interesting monsters into your employ. In order to efficiently kill innocents, the game lets you construct special rooms within your mansion that seemingly appear normal, right up until the point a once happy victim is then ambushed by a group of zombies, or, in the later stages of the game, reveal hidden walls that cause victims to trip and fall onto a conveyor belt that slices them up into bits. This little twist is what instantly sold Machiavillain to me. Not only are victims a valuable food resource, required to keep your minions happy, the method of their demise is also the game's primary upgrade currency. It's neat. Well, we'll come back to this. On a whole, Machiavillain is a really fun little game. By using the same complex approach to instructing workers as RimWorld, I cannot stress enough that the basic gameplay systems of this game are exactly the same as RimWorld. Machiavillain is a more compelling management sim as a result. Spending hours meticulously fine-tuning the day-to-day activities of your monsters into a perfectly balanced operation is incredibly satisfying, and I spent 90% of my time with Machiavillain playing it in triple speed, enjoying watching my little gross babies gathering wood, building structures and slicing human body parts into digestible components. Like all great management games worth their salt, there is a large amount of joy in the act of carefully tweaking a set of chatboxes in order to gain the highest yield out of your workforce. Yeah, there are some issues with this. Monsters blindly follow orders to the extent that they'll lock themselves in a room because they forgot to build a door, and they won't remove objects that intersect with building blueprints like in RimWorld because, well, I have no idea. This needs to be fixed. It's annoying, but on the whole, the management side of the game is good stuff. The victim mechanic is great too, but be prepared to spend a lot more of your time simply hiding your monsters in a room next to another room, only to then run out and kill your victims instead of building elaborate traps like the trailers suggest. This is a fine way of doing things. Sure, it works, but the fancier victim slaughtering apparatus is hidden behind an awful lot of resource grinding that makes getting to that point a far slower process than the game's cutesy demeanour would initially suggest. It's not helped that when victims are murdered, your suspicion level rises as a result. I don't think it's really explained properly in the game, but the only way of lowering this bar is by building specialised victim objects that make the blissfully ignorant fuckers happy before you literally murder them. But these things take ages to build. Your suspicion bar will 100% hit a point where you have a crowd of angry townsfolk attacking your mansion before you have any hope of constructing other means of keeping that bar low enough to prevent what is effectively a catastrophic event that more often than not leads to a quick game over. But it's hard to be down on this. Just look at how nice it looks. The art style is really lovely, the tiny amount of story elements are genuinely nice to experience, the game's myriad of random events are on theme and fun to find, and despite a fair amount of grammatical errors, the game's flavour text that accompanies both monsters and victims is genuinely a neat little touch that adds a welcome amount of depth to the world, even if it is still a little bit shallow. In a lot of ways I'm disappointed that Machiavillain isn't an early access title, but I hope that even without that label, it'll continue to receive improvements post-release. During the 10 or so hours I've played, I had a blast. RimWorld is a strong foundation to base a game upon, and although this reaches nowhere near the same lofty heights as that game, Machiavillain is still a fun twist on the management genre that we see far too infrequently for my liking. If you're a huge strategy or management fan who is looking for a game to spend hundreds of hours porting around within in an attempt to refine your approach to its absolute limits, I don't think that this is the game for you. I reckon you'd get about 15 or so hours out of this before you'd wander off to find something else that scratches that particular itch of your lizard brain. But if you're a casual player who likes the sound of a complex but easy to understand management sim about killing people in a spooky house of your own design, yeah, you'll like this. It's pretty good. I just really hope that if I were to revisit Machiavillain in a year's time, the game I would find is what this current version absolutely has the potential to be. Hey you, this is the end bit of the video where I tell you that I'm thankful that you watched it, and if you want to see more like this you should subscribe and also click the bell icon and maybe like and leave a comment telling me your favourite type of monster movie? That's not a question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your favourite type of monster movie? The one with the hairy men monsters or the one with the slippery little fish men? What the fuck? Please like and subscribe, and thank you as always for watching. This is 7 out of 10 and I never know how to end these videos in a way that isn't awkward.